Lewis Carroll, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Chapter 1. Down the Rabbit Hole. Alice was starting to feel very tired of sitting by her sister on the bank. She had nothing to do. Once or twice she looked into the book her sister was reading, but it had no pictures or conversations in it. And what is the use of a book, thought Alice, without pictures or conversations? So she was thinking in her mind as well as she could. The hot day made her feel very sleepy and not very clever. She was thinking if making a daisy chain was worth getting up and picking the daisies. Suddenly, a white rabbit with pink eyes ran close by her. There was nothing very strange about that. Alice did not think it was very unusual to hear the rabbit say to itself, oh dear, I shall be late." Later, she thought she should have been surprised, but at that time, everything seemed normal. But then the rabbit really took a watch out of its waistcoat pocket, looked at it, and then hurried on. Alice jumped to her feet because she suddenly thought that she had never seen a rabbit with a waistcoat pocket or a watch before. Full of curiosity, she ran across the field after it, and she was just in time to see it go down a large rabbit hole under the hedge. In a moment, Alice went down after it. She did not think at all about how she would get out again. The rabbit hole went straight like a tunnel for some distance. Then it suddenly went down. It went down so quickly that Alice had no time to stop herself before she started falling down a very deep well. Either the well was very deep, or she was falling very slowly, because she had plenty of time to look around and to wonder what would happen next. First, she tried to look down to see where she was going, but it was too dark to see anything. Then she looked at the sides of the well and saw that they were full of cupboards and bookshelves. Here and there she saw maps and pictures hanging on pegs. She took a jar from one of the shelves as she passed. It had a label, "Orange Marmalade," but to her great disappointment, it was empty. She did not want to drop the jar because she was afraid of hurting someone below, so she put it into one of the cupboards as she fell past it. Well, thought Alice to herself, after a fall like this, I will not think falling downstairs is anything. Everyone at home will think I am very brave. I would not say anything about it, even if I fell from the top of the house. This was probably true. Down, down, down. Would the fall never end? I wonder how many miles I have fallen now, she said aloud. I must be getting near the center of the earth. Let me think. That would be 4,000 miles down, I think. You see, Alice had learned things like this in her school lessons, and even though this was not a very good time to show her knowledge because no one was listening, it was still good to say it again. Yes, that is about the right distance. But then I wonder what latitude or longitude I have got to. Alice did not know what latitude or longitude were, but she thought they were nice, important words to say. Presently, she began again. I wonder if I will fall right through the earth. How strange it will seem to come out among people who walk with their heads down. The antipathies, I think. She was quite glad there was no one listening this time, because it did not sound like the right word. But I will have to ask them what the name of the country is, you know. Please, ma'am, is this New Zealand or Australia? And she tried to curtsy as she spoke. Imagine curtsying while you are falling through the air. Do you think you could do it? And she will think I am a very silly little girl for asking. No, it will not be good to ask. Perhaps I will see it written somewhere. Down, down, down. There was nothing else to do, so Alice soon started talking again. Dinah will miss me very much tonight, I think. Dinah was the cat. I hope they will remember her bowl of milk at tea time. Dinah, my dear, I wish you were here with me. There are no mice in the air, I am afraid, but you might catch a bat, and that is very like a mouse, you know. But do cats eat bats, I wonder? And here Alice started to feel sleepy, and she went on saying to herself in a dreamy way, Do cats eat bats? Do cats eat bats? And sometimes, do bats eat cats? Because she could not answer either question, so it did not matter which way she said it. She felt that she was falling asleep, and she had just started to dream that she was walking hand in hand with Dinah. She was saying very seriously, "Now, Dinah, tell me the truth. Did you ever eat a bat?" When suddenly, thump, thump, she landed on a pile of sticks and dry leaves, and the fall was over. Alice was not hurt at all, and she jumped up to her feet at once. She looked up, but everything above was dark. In front of her was another long passage, and the white rabbit was still there, running quickly down it. There was no time to lose. Alice ran after it as fast as she could, and she was just in time to hear it say, as it turned a corner, "Oh, my ears and whiskers, how late it is!" She was close behind it when she turned the corner, but the rabbit was gone. She found herself in a long, low hall, which was lit by a row of lamps hanging from the roof. There were doors all around the hall, but they were all locked. After Alice walked all the way down one side and back on the other side, trying every door, she walked sadly down the middle. She wondered how she would ever get out again. Suddenly she found a small table with 3 legs, made of solid glass. There was nothing on it except a tiny golden key. Alice first thought that it might open one of the doors in the hall, but, sadly, either the locks were too big or the key was too small, and it did not open any of them. However, the second time she walked around, she found a low curtain that she had not seen before, and behind it there was a small door about 15 inches high. She tried the little golden key in the lock, and to her great joy, it fitted. Alice opened the door and saw that it led into a small passage, not much bigger than a rat hole. She knelt down and looked along the passage into the most beautiful garden you can imagine. She really wanted to get out of that dark hall and walk among the bright flowers and cool fountains. But she could not even get her head through the doorway. And even if my head could go through, thought poor Alice, it would not help much without my shoulders. Oh, I wish I could close up like a telescope. I think I could if I only knew how to start. You see, so many strange things had happened lately that Alice had begun to think that almost nothing was impossible. There was no point in waiting by the little door, so she went back to the table. She half hoped to find another key on it, or at least a book of rules for closing people up like telescopes. This time she found a small bottle on it, which was certainly not here before, said Alice. And around the neck of the bottle there was a paper label with the words, "Drink me," nicely printed in big letters. It was easy to say, "Drink me," but clever little Alice was not going to do that quickly. "No, I will look first," she said, "and see if it is marked poison or not." Because she had read several nice stories about children who got burned or eaten by wild animals and other unpleasant things, all because they would not remember the simple rules their friends had taught them. For example, that a very hot poker will burn you if you hold it too long, and that if you cut your finger very badly with a knife, it usually bleeds. And she had never forgotten that if you drink a lot from a bottle marked poison, it will almost certainly make you feel ill sooner or later. However, this bottle was not marked poison, so Alice decided to taste it. She found it very nice. In fact, it tasted like a mix of cherry pie, custard, pineapple, roast turkey, toffee, and hot buttered toast. She quickly finished it all. "What a strange feeling," said Alice. "I must be closing up like a telescope." And it was true. She was now only 10 inches tall, and her face became happy when she thought that she was now the right size to go through the little door into the lovely garden. First, however, she waited for a few minutes to see if she would become even smaller. She felt a little worried about this. "Because it might end, you know," said Alice to herself, "with me disappearing completely, like a candle. I wonder what I would be like then. And she tried to imagine what the flame of a candle is like after the candle is blown out, because she could not remember ever seeing such a thing. After a while, when nothing else happened, she decided to go into the garden at once. But, poor Alice, when she came to the door, she saw that she had forgotten the little golden key. When she went back to the table to get it, she found that she could not reach it at all. She could see it clearly through the glass, and she tried her best to climb up one of the legs of the table, but it was too slippery. When she became tired from trying, the poor little girl sat down and cried. "Come, there is no use crying like that," said Alice to herself quite strictly. "I tell you to stop this at once." She often gave herself very good advice, but she did not often follow it. And sometimes she spoke to herself so strictly that it made her cry. Once she even remembered trying to hit her own ears because she had cheated herself in a game of croquet she was playing against herself. This strange child liked to pretend that she was two people. But it is no use now, thought poor Alice, to pretend to be two people. There is hardly enough of me left to make one proper person. Soon she saw a small glass box that was lying under the table. She opened it and found a very small cake inside. On the cake, the words, "Eat me," were nicely written with currants. "Well, I will eat it," said Alice. "And if it makes me grow bigger, I can reach the key. And if it makes me grow smaller, I can go under the door. So either way, I will get into the garden, and I do not care what happens." She ate a small piece and said nervously to herself, "Which way? Which way?" putting her hand on the top of her head to feel which way she was growing. She was very surprised to find that she stayed the same size. Of course, this usually happens when someone eats cake. But Alice had become so used to strange things happening that it seemed quite boring when life continued in a normal way. So she began again, and very soon finished the cake.